hundreds of thousands of Dalits, those who were previously called untouchable, gathered together in Nagpur and converted to Navayana Buddhism. Why should we stay with a faith that tells us that we are untouchable and unclean? Over 300,000 on the first day and about the same number the second day joined him publicly making that declaration. As part of a wider Dalit movement, Buddhism then became a vehicle for an identity change, not simply a religious change. So people changed what they thought about themselves, what they believed about themselves. And there was pressure against them, both within the legislation, the bureaucracy of India, but also social pressure not to make this change. There are, by some estimations, around 10 million Navayana Buddhists in India today, the largest Buddhist movement in India. Is never spoken of in the West. And we must remember that Ambedkar didn't simply have this moment of conversion. It was part of a wider raft of changes. He started two political parties in his time, the Independent Labour Organisation, and then just before his death, around about the same time as his conversion, in fact, the Scheduled Caste Federation. And they fought and won and sometimes lost elections. We also have the Dalit literature of the Dalit Panther movement. We have Dalit womanist movements. There are Dalits, and there became a Dalit Indian president at one point, but the Dalit movement, which is pushing for change by all sorts of means, community development, political change, campaigning, human rights, it is managing to, and has from the 50s onwards, managed to change all sorts of things. But what's happened to the religious identity since then? We're now, nearly 80 years on from the first conversions of Ambedkar and his followers to Navayana Buddhism. Where is it now? Nearly 80 years later. Let's look at that briefly in our third and final video.